Hey, over there, Joe Lunchbox.
And Joy Nightingale.
And today we have landed right here in the state of Virginia. Not just anywhere in Virginia. We're in Williamsburg, Virginia.
Yep.
Now we're going to walk around Colonial Williamsburg, see what's about. But that's not really why we're here. What we're here is, it's December, and it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Oh.
And when the sun goes down, supposedly there's lights, there's activities, Christmas-based. So we're going to see Colonial Williamsburg and what there is to do for Christmas. So, step right up. Let's go for this ride. See, we are here, and the actual Colonial Williamsburg is over there on this map. So we gotta go. And the main strip you walk is the Duke of Gloucester Street. Right from the old Capitol building, that's right. Williamsburg was the capital of Virginia at one point. We'll go over that later. The good thing to know about Colonial Williamsburg is you have to enter the visitor center, which isn't actually where Colonial Williamsburg is. And you get a shuttle bus, not that far away, only a few blocks away. But you do come into the visitor center and then shuttle it over. So we're about to head into the visitor center. So there's actually two ways to get to Colonial Williamsburg. There's a shuttle, which leaves downstairs, or there's a walking path. It's a 15-minute walk. I think we're gonna walk.
I think we're gonna walk it today.
First thing we come to is a windmill, but this is a new windmill. This was built in 1957 to commemorate the 350th anniversary of the founding of Jamestown. As we're making our walk to Colonial Williamsburg, we have this nice little babbling brook next to our path as we go into this arch. So behind us is the Governor's Palace. Like I was saying, this was the capital of Virginia for a while, but not the Virginia you're thinking of. We're talking about colonial Virginia. You see, Jamestown in 1607 was the first permanent English-speaking settlement here in America, a little bit down the road. But in 1699, they moved the capital of the colony of Virginia here to Williamsburg. And there's a lot more important stuff that also happened in Williamsburg. There's like little stuff like in 1773, the first hospital actually dealing with care and treatment of mental health happened here in Williamsburg. But one of the most important things that happened here is in 1781, George Washington assembled the Continental Army, and he actually took it to Yorktown, which was the final battle of the Revolutionary War. And that's when we won our independence from England. And right here, this version of Colonial Williamsburg, this restored, a little rebuilt historic town, is actually based on that time period, but a little bit before actually. It's right on the eve of the American Revolution. And it's cool, we have all these buildings, we could go in, take tours, there's some reenactors, tell us stories. Yeah, we're gonna see what they have to see. We can see how beautiful the Governor's Palace is decorated for Christmas. We got wreaths and garlands out. It's very nice. Beginning to look a lot like Christmas here in Colonial Williamsburg.
Everywhere we go.
Governor's Palace pantry. I think we could fit literally half our house in their pantry.
Folks, we're taking a peek in the side rooms. You have the parlor to your right, the pantry to your left.
Here we have the parlor room. And the last governor to live in this Governor's Palace was Thomas Jefferson. And it was cool. He left a floor plan, and this is a reconstruction based off his floor plan. It's interesting, with these guns above the fireplace. You see the lower two are different color than the upper. The uppers are all original, along with that shield over the door.
Everything in this space is about wealth. How many chairs are in the room, the colors on the walls, and of course, the carpet under your feet. So by 1741, Wilton Carpet Company is established in Wiltshire, England. So they are making very ornate carpets. This pattern is actually thousands of years old. It's based on mosaics being found in Pompeii.
This thing behind us, I think it's going to be amazing.
Oh.
It's a maze. We're about to go in a maze.
Oh.
I mean, already giving us arrows. Oh, this is a tight maze. Joy, if we don't get lost, it's going to be amazing. Joy, where are you?
Which way did you go?
I would go this way.
This way? Okay.
Yeah.
That's just the beginning.
Dead end?
Dead end.
Somebody made their own.
I don't think that's where we're supposed to go. That's the emergency exit.
That's the eject button. I don't know, how many feet?
Oh, this looks good. I'm going this way.
You're going that?
Well, the middle's like what you're trying to find.
That's true.
It's the point of a maze.
Well, I thought the exit would be pointing.
No, the middle. You're always trying to get to the middle.
Ah.
And we made it, the middle.
Good.
If only they had like tea or a treat for us here.
Like a
This-
button, like I did it.
Yeah, this is right behind the governor's palace. And we can see this cool mound behind the maze, which is actually the top of their old ice box. It's a big ice box. It's the largest refrigerator I've ever seen. But now we just gotta figure our way out of this maze.
That way.
You did it, Joy. You made it. And an interesting thing, this greenery, if you see the wreath, it's decorated with pomegranates. Now, you would think pomegranates for the bright red pop. Well, there's two reasons. One, the squirrels that are around here at night don't like to eat the pomegranates. And two, they were a fruit that was grown back in colonial times here and still grown today, pomegranates. And this idea of decorating buildings with greenery, this wouldn't have been happening during colonial times. This is more an early 20th century tradition and wouldn't have been happening, but it's cool to see these buildings decorating it like now. Another cool wreath on this house has the pineapple, the symbol of hospitality and welcoming with the oranges. Now they said the animals do come and eat the fruits, so there's actually someone that goes around every day replacing the fruits. And the wreaths and everything, they get replaced every other week. They say the plain wreaths, at the end of 1 week, they flip it so the other side's facing on the sun. Then a week later, they come and just replace it, and then the process all continues. No squirrel teeth marking those apples yet, but they said by the morning there will be. And that's why there's a morning crew that goes around and has to replace every apple on all the wreaths. So we just came down the path behind us. That was the governor's palace. Now, Colonial Williamsburg was actually, what was that? I don't know the proper term, but a design city. It was all laid out. They didn't just start building. The roads were all gridded out.
It was planned.
And yeah, it was planned. Now what's cool is the governor's, that's the shorter path. The main street, which is the Duke of Gloucester Street, at one end, facing this way, is the Capitol building. And this is all the National Park area. And you see it ends at the end of this block, but past where it ends, that's actually William and Mary University, which was founded in 1693 and is the second oldest higher education learning thing in America right after Harvard, and the 9th in the English-speaking world. Look in the gardens. I love these little greenhouses. I love the bell jars. to help grow the vegetables. Here we have some cauliflower. And you might look out of place, but yes, there's a big cactus in the middle of Williamsburg. To me, it looks like a prickly pear cactus, but I'm not sure what it is.
We have a lot of projects underway here. As always, we are a working 18th century shop. We're using the same tools, same materials, and the same processes as close as we can replicate them to what they would have done here in the 18th century. We are the ones that are going to complete the work of the carpenter on your home. We're going to do windows, doors, molding, any kind of trim work. Thank you, folks. Things like that. You know, we do the sound molding for you.
The cool thing about Williamsburg is, like I said, not everything is original. This building is one of the originals. Some were rebuilt, some were restored. You see, in 1780, the capital moved from Williamsburg, like they were saying. I was saying Thomas Jefferson was the last governor to use the capital here, but they moved it to Richmond. And this town just became more of just a college town. And it sort of wasn't kept up, but in 1926, a guy named Reverend Dr. W.A.R. Goodwin wanted to restore it. And he got John D. Rockefeller Jr. to fund it and led massive construction of the 18th century city. So it looks like what we see it now today. And it was so good that in 1934, FDR proclaimed this street right here, the Duke of Gloucester Street, was the most historic avenue in America. And this area finally got landmark status in 1960. Last building before you hit the end is the tailor.
Step in, enjoy your visit.
Like today within the museum, where we barely have enough time to be able to make all the clothes that we need, so that we're not a bunch of naked monkeys when we walk in, sitting up on top of our workboards working. And so in the 18th century, tailors clothed everyone. It's not special to have clothing made for you, much the same way that it might be today in the 21st century. It's just how you get clothes. And we would await you, the customer, to go out shopping first and buy what you want to have your clothing made from, and then bring it to us and tell us how you want it made. In fact, what your clothing is made out of is going to determine everything about what it's going to be once it's finished. The fashion of it, the function of it, and the formality of it as well. And so when you have control over these sorts of things, it gives you total control.
It is amazing how the gift shops blend in with the buildings. We have the tinsmith right next to the blacksmith by Hammer in Hand. They're one of my favorite wreaths that I've seen today.
Palmer House down the road, which is an original 18th century structure. It's an interior lighting device. It's going to be a glazed lantern. So it's made of glass, and it's going to be painted and suspended from a ceiling. It's 50% larger than the original that was copied on, which is important. So everything on the table is really a representation or a reflection of the values of those Revolutionary Virginia government officials that just get to decide what.
I can't communicate with you by speaking. If you need help, I can see what process you're doing. I know what step comes next. And so you don't have to talk to me. Somebody's working on this part here. So this would go into a heavy door, maybe shutters or gates. So this is driven into the frame of the building, the door.
The Weatherburn Tavern might have my favorite wreath. If you see, it has the stein and some playing cards and a clay pipe. It's a cool wreath.
Oh, pretty. So you were going to
Oh, the wig maker and the barber. I could go for a nice shave.
Financial cost of honestly a brand new wig. So if you have enough money to throw at this problem, an extra, 2 pounds, 3 shillings for a year's maintenance is not bad. Some people are not leaving Mount Vernon and he's not expecting company. Does he need super complicated hair all the time? No. So if he's wearing his own hair, it's easy enough to say, simpler style today. He would say Billy Lee. Billy Lee, we know, prefer to be called William Lee, and so we will refer to him as such. So William Lee was a very skilled hairdresser and barber, and on days that Washington is not expecting company and not leaving a plantation, He's going to put on the hairstyle equivalent of better than sweatpants, just in case someone drops by and needs to look like he tried at all. But if he's going into town, a little bit more effort, and if he's going to a formal event, it'll then be powdered white for that increased level of formality. That's what the difference in color really indicates, is level of formal dress. White is high formal, gray is very business appropriate, and brown is day wear. And so, Washington can achieve all of that because he has abundant free time. Partially because he's rich, and partially because he's also unemployed. George Washington has many responsibilities. He doesn't have a job. So Washington knows what his responsibilities are, can pencil them into the calendar in advance, but even when he's a general, even when he's the president, those are executive positions where people come and talk to you in the morning while your hair is being dressed. He doesn't really have to put a lot of pen to paper. He's not a lawyer like Jefferson or Henry or Adams or Randolph, or you get the idea. Washington has every reason in the world to just say, I've got enough hair, I've got enough time, this is fine. But 3 years younger than George Washington, you have John Adams up in Massachusetts. Adams is a committed wig wearer from the age of 10.
Another pretty wreath, this time with some oysters in the pomegranates. The Capitol building.
Home to the House of Burgesses, which is the legislature. That's the body that's making the laws, as well as the General Court, which is the highest court in the entire colony. Because the building itself has a pretty interesting story. This is actually the third Capitol to stand on this site. The original Capitol here opens in 1705. It stands until 1747, and then guess what happens? It burned down. They rebuilt it, and the second Capitol is here at the time of the American Revolution. But then during the Revolution in 1780, the British military is beginning to threaten this region, and so for safety's sake, Virginia's leaders decide to move up to Richmond. They're hoping it'll be safe up there, and that becomes a permanent change. So once that happens, there wasn't much of a purpose for the Capitol building here. Half of it got torn down almost right away because they wanted to use the materials for other things, and then the other half ends up burning down in the 1830s, just because we had to continue that trend. Over the next 100 years or so after that, but then our reconstructed Capitol, which is what you're looking at now, opens in 1934. So it's now been here longer than either of the originals. Now the building that you're looking at is actually based on the original 1705 structure. When it was rebuilt around 1750, they had changed it a little bit. These round chambers that you see, they squared them off to make it a little bit bigger inside. They also added a big portico that looked down the Duke of Gloucester Street. So when Colonial Williamsburg rebuilt it in the 1930s, I think they had basically aesthetic reasons in mind for choosing the 1705 structure as their model. The nice thing about it though is that we do have original foundations underneath this building. It's just that everything that's original is below ground level. This court meets quarterly, 4 times per year. So if you arrive the day after the previous session ends, you'll have to wait the full 3 months until the next one begins. The council actually has quite a few responsibilities, but they are a group of 12 Virginians. They come from the wealthiest and most powerful families, of course, and they have lifetime appointments to serve as advisors to the governor, to serve as justices with him in this courtroom, and for one other responsibility that we're going to come back to a little bit later. On these benches over here, there's room for 12 to sit. Who do you think would be over here? Yeah, that's your jury. Now the jury is a group of 12 just like today. They will be, 6 of them will come from the same county as you. The other 6 will come from the local area here. When the time comes for them to deliberate, they're going to go away to a room upstairs. And it's a little bit different from today because once they go into that room, the door will close behind them, and they quite literally will not come out until they have a decision. No food, no water, no light if it's getting dark outside, no heat if it's winter and it's cold outside. Nothing but a chamber pot for the 12 of them to share. Are they going to take very long?
No.
No. After all, you do have the right to a fair and speedy trial. They're not going to take any more than about 10 or 15 minutes. And when they do come back, their decision is going to be one of 3 possible outcomes for you. Come on, let's have a seat on either side.
Now the House of Burgesses.
So this is where, at least theoretically speaking, the voice of the people in Virginia is heard. Although every time the Burgesses walk into this room, they're going to be reminded that they are not citizens of a republic as we are. They are residents of a colony within an empire under the rule of a king. For one thing, it's got a very long history. The House of Burgesses begins meeting in Jamestown in 1619. That means we just commemorated 400 years of representative government in the Western Hemisphere. The other thing to know about it is that it's the only elected office in 18th century Virginia. Every other political position is appointed by someone from the royal governor on down. That means the only elections that are held are for the 2 burgesses that represent each county.
Heading into the Gal, early prisons. The public Gal, Virginia chief prison, which housed debaters and criminals, and served as the jail for the general court in the nearby capital. An interesting thing is, here Blackbeard's pirates captured in 1718 were confined until the day of their hanging. It's crazy what they said, that if you were coming here to sit trial and you missed that date quarterly, this was where you'd spend up to 3 months. In this one, we actually could see the stocks and the toilet. Woo! You'll get out soon, Joy. We only got another 2 months till the court date.
Shit, this one like right.
You're saying that's your lunch? I see what you're in here for. Stealing people's farm life.
Making medicine still today, some of which we still use, some of which we don't use. This is something called a Blowpop. You probably don't see this at the pharmacy yet. This particular Blowpop is called a saponaceous Blowpop, and it takes its name from the fact that it's got Castile soap as an ingredient. So this is used for a tickling cough to help soothe the throat. The other 2 ingredients are sweet almond oil and this syrup of lemon juice. These are cardialgic troches, which is a mouthful, but essentially 18th century antacids. So you take these for heartburn. They're very symptoms-based anyway, so they're seeing the heartburn, knowing that things like chalk and oyster shells, in powdered form of course, can help soothe, neutralize that acid in the body.
I love how they were saying that the pharmacists back then also practiced medicine. And here we have like this little doctor's office. Raleigh Tavern Bake Shop. And this doesn't smell like a reenactment. This smells like real food. All the snacks. Sweet potato muffins and a ham biscuit with a hot cider wash down. Sounds good. Bacon in the kitchen. Joy got her sweet potato muffin. How is it, Joy?
Nope, cream soda.
Yummy?
I like the extra sugar up on top.
It's not too sweet, is it?
It's just enough sweet, not
Okay.
too sweet.
Okay. And I got me a ham biscuit. Nothing like a drop biscuit with some ham on it.
You want the bigger one?
It's really good. Biscuit's a little dry, but I knew that would be the nature of what the type biscuit is. But the ham is weird. It's very good. It tastes more like when you get like a full ham and you cook it than like deli meat ham, even though it looks like deli meat ham. So, I like it.
Shoulder of my cross, take it home to my Jesus. Ain't that good news?
After having a little lunch at the Raleigh Tavern Bake Shop, we why not go check out the Raleigh Tavern?
Taverns to choose from. There are 14 taverns on this street alone, but none of them are highly documented or historic as the tavern you just come inside of, the Raleigh Tavern, named after Sir Walter Raleigh. This was the favorite hangout spot for the leaders of the Revolution, my friends. If you went into any tavern in 1775, you came into a place that was serving the traveling public, such as yourselves. Another name for a tavern here in 1775 is a public house. And of course, that's where you get your modern term of pub from. So very well stocked and many services provided. But of the many things that taverns do provide, there is one thing that you cannot expect from a tavern, and that is privacy. We're going to hold up in this room, my friends. Let everyone catch up with us. So that's for a night's stay. 7.5 pence for you, another 7.5 pence for your horse. So some people pay the rate for the horse and sleep with the horse. And this is where all the magic happens, my friends. This is the bar room. You can get anything your heart's desire and put into a glass. As modern people come in here and you're asked to identify the bar, you most likely identify this object, this counter. Step up to the bar. But we here in 1775, we point this whole contraption out as the bar. The bar is going up to the ceiling. These bars come down, close, lock. Locking this whole area, my friends. The bar keeps the key on this person. As you look back there, you might wonder, well, what's really worth locking up? I mean, look back there, it's nothing much. But the true value of the bar is always in the floor behind the bar. The trap door down into the cellar. You can get it all the stock. Remember, taverns are the most well-stocked places in town.
Trap door to the basement.
Hosted what were called subscription balls in here. Subscription is a ticket. 1775, the ball is a fancy dance. These tickets survive through history. We have these tickets imprinted clearly on them. It says 1 ticket for 1 gentleman with as many ladies who will come with him. That is the style of the time. They were smart, you know, just like in modern time. You go to Vegas, you know, you want ladies there, you don't charge them. The most famous instance of this room being used is when the many gentlemen of the Congress are kicked out of the Capitol for what they were discussing. They were talking about what was happening in Boston. The port had been closed because of the Boston Tea Party. They were talking about supporting them. So the governor said, get out of here with that kind of talk. And so they said, we're not going to be, he's not going to tell us what to do, so we're going to meet here, our favorite place. So they came right in here, met me here. 89 men met in this room and talked about supporting Boston, dancing, refreshments, gaming. Who could ask for more? These are 18th century cards up on the table, my friends. So they're playing all kinds of card games. The most popular card game was Whist, W-H-I-S-T. That's making a comeback in modern time. Poker was not invented yet. Poker is a 19th century American game, so it wasn't here yet.
You said right behind you. Very well. Around what time?
Oh, at 2 o'clock.
I'll be there at 1:59.
The silversmiths are very interesting. The 12 days of Christmas, and you can actually see them all on those little silver plates. Like the 5 golden rings. Perfect souvenir, crushed penny. Got it. It's a woman milking an ox. So as you can see, nightness had fallen on Colonial Williamsburg, but the celebrations, this is sort of when they get started. A little Christmas celebration here. See, right now waiting for the procession, the celebration of the Yule-log. They're going to start at the Capitol, way down there, and walk down here. They have these baskets they have these baskets with little cressets that they're going to light on fire as they come. And the drum and fife band are going to march. I think they're leading the Yule-log or they're behind the Yule-log. And they said this is a big deal because it's one of the first times they're back here in Colonial Williamsburg because of all the stuff that's been happening in the world the past 2 years. They didn't have this band here, but they're back leading the Yule-log. Fire is crackling.
Come on. Preston will be immortalized in film.
We'll get it.
Hey! Yeah! Our Christmas is lit.
I know.
Wassail, the light that shines and warms the hard, cold earth in time. May you never hunger, may you never thirst. Sing carols, be merry, wassail to the earth. And greetings, ladies and gentlemen, one and all, and greetings on this most glorious of evenings. We gather here.
They're putting the Yule log in the fire.
One that has its origins in the courts of the medieval kings.
There goes the Yule log.
As you can see, good things in the months to come. And so soon we'll encourage you to one and all, or in your couples or families, to select greenery. Come together at the bonfire with your wishes and desires, and joyfully cast away the woes of the year that is past. Merry in Williamsburg to welcome in the Christmas tide season with the music of the fife and drums and the firing of guns from the Virginia State Garrison Regiment.
We got our greenery. It's one leaf. I just have to get it into the fire from here.
Oh no. Go for it.
Did you do yours?
Find your little slack there.
I'm taking it.
Yes.
Almost.
It's burning. Look, you gotta see it. It's burning. Yeah. That's yours right there.
Little help.
See, it was worth it.
Oh, thanks to you.
We have to get in for the good luck.
You can't. You had to. Okay, it's called.
Oh, there it goes. Yay.
Now we have good luck next year. Cast away our worries.
The 5 wolves. The springs are out.
So there you have it. Colonial Williamsburg, and also a little Christmas celebration here in Colonial Williamsburg. I enjoy it. We do so much roadside attractions. We figured let's do a little American history mixed in with those roadside attractions with this video.
It was great to just step back in time.
Oh, yeah. I do love this spot. If you haven't come, it's amazing. Going back to the 1780s, 1770s, it's right before the Revolutionary War is when this is based out of all this time. Able to go into the building, see all these things like museums, some original, some reconstructions, but still awesome. The thing that amazes me is how knowledge-filled the people that work here are. You just hear them talk about history, then architecture, and the trades like blacksmithing. I highly recommend doing it. I hope you'd like this.
Yes.
And Joy, tell them what they should do if they did like this.
Well, number one, you can like the video.
That is a good idea. You let us know that you like this kind of stuff, so we make maybe some more American history mixing with some of that roadside adventure, the kitsch that we get to, the oddities. What else could they do if they like all of this type of stuff?
Subscribe to us.
It's a good idea. I like that one too. And also leave a comment if you ever been here. If there's any other historical reenactment towns around the country that we should go to.
Or what's your favorite?
Yeah, let us know that stuff. But for now, I think we could call it.
We just got more logs. Oh.
There were another log on our fire. But for now, I think we could call it Colonial Williamsburg, and also a little Christmas celebration here in Colonial Williamsburg. Been there, done that. Remember, folks, safe travels.
Good eats.
And live life. Oh yeah, another log on the fire. Keeping it beautifully lit at night.
Leaves so green, here we come, the wall and drink so fair to be seen. Love and joy come to you, and to you your wassail too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy